Damn, I love that tune. Are we live? Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another late, but better late than never, episode of Jim and Rob Overanalyze Movies, the live video podcast for people who love to talk about movies as much as they love watching them. Tonight, we're going to be taking Jim and I, my good friend Jim Chaboyko and I, are going to overanalyze Ben Affleck's latest dive into history, Air. Here's the log line according to IMDb. It follows the history of shoe salesman Sonny Vaccaro and how he led Nike in its pursuit of the greatest athlete in the history of basketball, Michael Jordan. And with that, I think it's time to bring on my co-host with the most, Mr. Jim Chaboyko. How are you doing, my friend? Oh, you are not unmuted. Let me fix that.
Woohoo.
Now you're unmuted.
Yeah.
Here, let's get another round of applause for you there.
That would have been great timing if, but it's still pretty good timing actually. Kind of
anyway, tell us who's in the select, Jim.
Yes, well, we have Ben Affleck, a bit of a cameo sort of, but it's led by Matt Damon, really. Chris Tucker, nice surprise to see him. Jason Bateman, Chris Messina, who many people might recognize from a lot of sitcoms there. Viola Davis, let's not forget her.
Absolutely right.
Yeah, and those are some of the lead folks. It was directed by Affleck and written by, I believe his name is Alex Convery. So, and I looked up he didn't seem to have tons of writing credits, but movie-wise anyway. But yeah, so that's a sampling of the folks. Damon Wayans is in it as well. But yeah, lots of neat little cameos and things.
Very cool. Well, Jim, why don't screw it. Let's do it. Let's jump right into the spoiler zone.
Yeah.
And let me start by asking you your overall impressions. I know, and there'll be a link to it up here. You did do a spoiler-free see it, and if memory serves, you felt it was, a light see it, half a Moneyball, I believe, is what you gave it.
Yeah, I thought it was basically a fairly well-oiled machine. It moved well. It was way more interesting than the initial premise, I think, suggested. Not that I'm adverse to sort of odd plots, but it was very watchable. The cast moved into their roles well, but it really lacked a kind of a self-awareness. At its heart, it's a movie about gambling, and Jordan had gambling issues. Affleck's had gambling issues. And unlike, I mentioned Moneyball, it really didn't take a look at the deeper meaning of that. So, that's a few of my thoughts.
No, that's great. And I would agree with you. There's hints of self-awareness at times. There's a couple of moments. What I thought I thought it was a full-throated, it wasn't a half Moneyball. It was the anti-Moneyball. If Moneyball is about a cold analysis, a cold-hearted analysis of the facts, of really trying to understand the bigger picture, this is almost the gambler's fallacy. Doubling down, my feeling, my gut. It would be like making Moneyball and going, you know what, you're right. Google boy, you're out. We're just going to play it like we always had. The dumb way. But at its heart, and why I'd give it a stronger see it, although as we get further into the show, I have many criticisms of its themes. It is really more of a full-throated classic sports movie. Scrappy underdogs taking on the big shots, winning the big game because of heart and
Yeah.
honesty, just applied to some marketing bureaucrats. And it actually, by the end of it, I was like, I am entertained by this. I'm not
Oh, yeah.
taken in by it, but I am entertained by it. So I'm going to say, see it. Be aware that it's history and many other things we could put our quotes on it. But thanks for that, Jim. Another thing, as I was watching this flick, and I was just dying to ask you, is do you think it came out April 5th? Here in Winnipeg, we could have seen it. We didn't. We had other things to watch and other things to do with our lives. Do you think you missed anything by not watching this in the theater?
That's a good question. I don't think for this one. I mean, it's always a pleasure to, especially these days, you don't take that kind of thing for granted anymore. But I don't think there was anything inherently sort of big screen about this. Maybe you're missing out on some of the sound, the quality sound there or what have you. But it's a meeting, as I just read on Twitter to you. It's a guys in meetings movie. So and God bless them, they made a movie of it that was entertaining, but that's not always the case. And maybe it's not sort of visually as like, wow, the table was oval, that kind of thing.
Well, it's a sports. It is in its structure, in its approach to the subject matter, a sports movie, and it is about an athlete, a remarkable athlete, with very little court antics. For myself, Jim, I don't believe I missed anything by not seeing it in the theater. Nothing. I think actually this was a movie well calibrated for television. It is guys in meetings. It's Sorkin-esque at times. It's they know when to, we're going to be chatting again, so buddy better be walking. I'm walking and I'm talking. And
always in motion.
Always in motion, but in the end, we're talking about people with meetings and proposals and phone calls and, old-fashioned bureaucrat hustle. And this is a bit of a hint, I think, maybe later on in the channel with one of our YouTuber colleagues want to do a thing where talking about movies where they may be better set for the small screen. And I think this is one. It's shot well enough to be in the big screen, but it didn't have to be in the big screen. I think in a lot of ways, it just added to the prestige of what really is a great television movie. That's I can see that definitely. Now, and I've got a number of notes, like in the music cues. Well, another thing I was dying to ask you about the music cues. Sure. But first of all, let's a quick shout out to the folks in the chat. We have Jelly Duck 100.
Hey.
And let us not forget Richard L. and Katie Fowler getting their home from them.
Nice.
Sound effects for everybody. It's great to see you folks here. Thanks for joining us in the spoiler zone.
On a long weekend.
Back to you, Jim. Back to you.
Sure.
Another thing I couldn't help but go, wow, there's a lot of 80s pop references, pop music references. And initially, and I think, let me see if I can find what I wrote here. I remember when initially I was like, I'm kind of questioning these choices, but I believe, where are we here? Just a sec. Yes, as I was watching it earlier in the movie, ZZ Top Legs.
Yeah.
And what I noted, Jim, was, okay, she's got less. At least they didn't show a short skirt.
Yeah.
It was like, well, that's something, you know?
I believe it's actually intro music for Matt Damon walking into a Tony Roma's in the daytime.
Yes. To have a
So it's
drink.
not a sexy. I mean, I've never been a huge fan of that song. ZZ Top has way more sort of bluesy numbers, but yeah, that was one of the ones I thought was a particularly kind of a lazy choice almost. It
Well,
was sort of 80s sort of ear candy. It's almost like they took Google or Alexa, what's Chaka Khan's biggest hit? And they would sort of like they sort of play, regardless of the mood. They play Violent Femmes was the second song that they played into it, the
yeah.
Blister in the Sun. And I don't know if
Yeah.
and it was Matt Damon driving around. It opens with Dire Straits' Money for Nothing,
And
which
you
is
know what
kind of
that
funny.
reminded me of? The blister in the sun. The first time it really registered with me, like most pop tunes, even ones of my era sometimes, or
Yeah.
well, it was in a movie. And it was in a much better movie referencing the 80s, but a little closer to it, which was Grosse Point Blank.
Yes.
And that had a killer soundtrack that really seemed to capture a vibe that
Yeah.
Cusack and the rest of the filmmakers are going for, and so well. But
And
back to the
yeah,
Go ahead,
just
Jim.
probably fit the sensibility. I was just going to add on to what you were saying. It probably fit the sensibility of the movie better.
Yeah.
It was it's a punky song, right? And you're talking about a bunch of guys who are probably making hundreds of thousands of dollars wearing polyester, golf shirts and going to
Corporate
meetings and
guys.
things like that. Corporate guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't really fit Blister in the Sun with driving around a lot and going home to TV
In rental
dinners,
cars.
So. Yeah, exactly. So
Okay. Back to this one and some of its music cues. I thought of you, and that's exactly what I thought, Jim. Like early in the film, wow, this is lazy. But then there was later on, my opinion changed on that. Did yours? Actually, it went in a circle. It changed, and then
Yeah.
it changed back in a weird way.
When you select 10 songs or 12 songs or whatever, there's a lot of music. I looked for one list and it listed 12 songs. I know it didn't list everything. It didn't list Legs, but I mean, you have Night Ranger, Sister Christian in there. And I think that's another one, driving up to an office.
You
they're
may
playing
hear in the
blasting
repost
Night
right
Ranger.
now the REO Speedwagon song. I may be able to
Oh,
actually
yes.
license that for the
REO
show.
Speedwagon. Well, they sell that one to anyone, so why not us?
I may have even
But-
gotten it on sale, Jim.
Oh my gosh. The one thing I will give them credit for is that
feeling anymore.
And Time After Time by Cyndi Lauper. Sorry, I keep on turning my head to reference my notes here.
No, that's
Time After Time's a super. There was once one of my favorite Saturday Night Live skits. Quick aside. Was in a show hosted by Garth Brooks, and the premise, the camera looked at the audience filling up a movie theater, and the premise of the skit was these two people were on a date, and they were stuck in a movie theater that was only playing trailers, and they didn't realize it. And they sort of said, "Why does every movie have James Brown?" And it was like, "I feel good," and that's sort of the epitome of lazy soundtrack creation. And there's a few examples of this in there. But as a longtime fan of Big Country's very first awesome album, super underrated, but it did well. Critically underrated, I think. To hear it in a Big Country, in a song that followed his trip driving through North Carolina, fit. It matched the situation, and it was a surprise. It was one of those like found sound kind of things. I was like, "Oh my God!" I literally exclaimed when I saw it. So, bravo for that. A broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah. Well, that was where I thought, wow, this really is shot for television. Because you never actually get a great big wide vista. In part, I think it's like, well, we'll do a quick drone shot do we need Affleck there? He's like, no, everyone's agreed. They'll only do this gig in L.A. And it was shot in L.A. I bet you that was maybe even, it might have been a splinter unit. I didn't look in the credits that deeply,
Okay.
but it certainly wasn't the A unit in North Carolina. It's like, hey, what's on iStock Media?
Yeah. Well,
that'll work.
and it's funny watching Moneyball recently too, is that there are vista shots there. There's Brad Pitt goes moodily hanging out by the waterfront. And so there's these great sort of the San Francisco water / Oakland Bay area. And so there's a lot more sort of longer shots in that, but
No, I think that's a perfect moment where you kind of think, this is a great TV movie.
Yeah.
But if I saw it on the big screen, I don't think I'd get anything extra. Whereas Moneyball, even though it could have shot differently, been a TV movie, I think you do lose a little something when you watch it on television. It is a real feature.
Yeah. Yeah.
For what that's worth. Okay, back to the music, though.
Sure, yeah.
And this will be my segue into really more of the bigger conversation. In what was a nice little moment, we're moving into the... We're in the second half of the film. We're not quite in the third act. There's a great little moment where Vaccaro is being gently chided by maybe his boss, Jason Bateman, kind of the head of marketing for Nike, and definitely seemed to be the head of like basketball marketing for Nike at the time, playing that guy. And he gently chides him and says, your big gamble here, you're a little loose, how did he put it, cavalier with us and our jobs. And he talks, and that all starts with him talking about Born in the USA. And he says, wow, it just dawned on me this morning as I'm rocking out to this tune. And he describes such a real experience that we all have with a tune. And this was his first moment where, as he's singing along with the lyrics, that he realizes, wow, Born in the USA is not the anthem you might initially think it is, and Rah Rah USA. It really is a post-Vietnam lament for the growing Rust Belt.
Yeah.
And a working class lament. And so he has this moment where he talks about it. He says, listen, a lot of our stuff, we're there, and I should care about it, but I don't because I need this job and my daughter. And he chats about how he gives his daughter, who he can only see for 4 hours on a Sunday because of the divorce settlement, his visitation rights are limited. And so he gives her Nike shoes every time he gets to see her, and how he'll keep buying them after, and how the whole division could get shut down. And it's all based on Vaccaro's bet, a guy who's twice divorced and no kids, and doesn't seem to have much of a life. He's eaten literal TV dinners, and he goes gambling, and that was, it's like, wow, this is a great little moment. I don't think it's hit as hard as it could have been, but there's a moment of, this is flirting with self-awareness, flirting with it. But, and also I thought, wow, they've blown their whole budget. Their music budget is running out, and Springsteen's music is noteworthy for its cost, almost Eagles level of price. And so they're like, you know what we'll do? We'll talk about the song.
Yeah.
And then at the end, unironically, they play the song over a medley of rich people and how good they are because they give away some of their billionaire wealth. Yeah. And it's like, wow, that's Okay, they were only flirting with self-awareness. Even
Yeah.
the way they talk, Jim, about how this might set a bad precedent. Players might get some of our money.
Heavens. Yeah. So,
Oh, that can't happen. Where's
yeah.
this going to go? And then
Oh.
a celebration of money. And how did
Yeah.
one reviewer put it? Capitalist greed.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, I think they're only flirting with self-awareness. And so you brought it up earlier. We've touched on it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think Affleck is actually saying with this flick? Gambling is good? It really is about the gut feeling?
Yeah.
Unless you're a Buddhist, then it's something to make fun of?
There's not any kind of comparison, but I think it's just an ode to the risk taker. It's sort of it's almost a tribute to those who sort of see something and they go for it. There's all those there's in whether it's detective fiction or movies or what have you. One of the great joys of the modern age is seeing somebody realize something, and so you get all that sort of organ music or that sort of synthesizer music as somebody watches tape, and it sort of happens in both movies. Somebody watches tape of somebody, and it sort of dawns on them, oh my, there's something we missed, and it's kind of a great thing.
Of course, to the moment where he's watching the tape of Michael Jordan getting the pass.
Yeah, and breaking down
the big shot he took.
The
in his
NCAA
college
tournament.
days.
Yeah.
It is a great moment because it's a shift in perspective on why he's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, important.
And it's well articulated
Yeah.
by the Vaccaro character.
And we actually, in a movie that's ostensibly about a basketball star, we actually see the basketball star playing basketball.
Yes, although
we don't see that a lot.
Does he have any lines? I think there might be no. There's actually no line. Yeah. There's allusions to him, like you can talk to him on the phone now. Hello, Mr. Jordan, or whatever.
It's time
Hello,
for that.
Michael, or which is actually kind of an interesting artistic choice, I think. But because you're going more through the parents, but I mean it's kind of a funny thing. But what is he saying? What is Ben Affleck saying? I do think it's sort of an ode as a guy who gambles himself.
Yeah.
Maybe it's an ode to the guy who's to break. I'm using the wrong sports metaphor, but the swinging for the fences as a sort of an act
calling
of,
your shot.
Great creation. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, there may be something deeper in there, but it's not. Having just watched Moneyball this weekend, that thing has oodles of stuff under as an undercurrent, and it's kind of actually an anxiety. I remembered it as being, and I enjoyed it again, but I remembered it being a more fun watch, and kind of the whole interplay between Jonah Hill and Brad Pitt was kind of fun. But I didn't remember how kind of serious and grim it was on several levels.
Well, maybe not grim, but real stakes.
Internally, and there's a lot of existential, dread. Here's another thing that surprised me is that none of the characters in these movies, except for maybe Chris Tucker, seems to be a very happy person. And let's be straight, is that their jobs may be sort of in peril, but they've already, even the baseball players, have won in a way. Like, they have amazing jobs, and they're getting huge money and that sort of thing. And nobody really seems very happy in these movies, in either of them. That was just sort of the thing I noticed.
Well, we're not really doing Moneyball, but maybe we should.
Yes,
I think existential dread is hitting it too hard, but it is serious. They're adults who are facing real stakes.
Yeah.
We have another, in Billy Bean, a father as he says, when they have to make the big call, are they committed to their plan? He's like, yeah, I could be out of a job and I've got a high school diploma and I'm a single father who would like to put his kid pay for his kid's college, put his kid through college.
Yeah.
Whereas he does say to the Brant character, played by Jonah Hill, hey, meanwhile, you're doing okay, so I don't know what we're doing here. It's a great moment. The comparable moment in Air is Jason Bateman only gently chiding him, not saying, asshole, there's a lot of people in this room here.
Yeah.
I may not be here now, but they could all be out of a job because you insisted. Show a little respect for that.
Yeah.
No, I just know. I know when I know, and yeah, they definitely they believe that in that hand, it's like, but sometimes you just know you have the right hand. Although there's a couple of times, and I think it's also with Jason Bateman, where he says he's got the other line preceding that key scene where he's like, somebody else was telling Hirohito, this is the time to invade the United States. It's a terrible take on the historical facts, but it works for the scene, right? But it's also a terrible take on the historical facts. And that's, well, shock of shocks. Ben Affleck with a somewhat light
Adherence to history?
light touch, a light reading of history.
Was Canada involved with the rescue of Iranian hostages? Not really, says Affleck.
Kinda.
Kind of. Tertiarily.
That Taylor guy, he was a great concierge. First of all, Jelly Duck 100 says he does love Chris Tucker in this movie. And that's a great point. There was one other side question I wanted to ask you, Jim.
Sure.
Tucker in this film, it almost floats into shtick, kind of a, this is how black people talk amongst black people, kind of shtick. But it looks like it was a little more, how do I put this? Real. Like, it's shtick, but there's a point being made because there's that great moment with Viola Davis and her character. It's like, well, why can't we have more of her? I'd like the whole movie from her perspective, from Michael Jordan's mother's perspective. That would be awesome. But there's that moment where he's laying it on because he's late to this key meeting and he's laying on a line of bullshit. And she kind of stops him in a great moment. And I'm like, oh, the shtick they're directing. Affleck is actually choosing that shtick. Tucker is choosing that quasi-comic, but almost like a parody of, for a purpose, in part to kind of, for Viola Davis, for Jordan's mother's name I can't remember now. Let's call her Mrs. Jordan. To say, we're good. We're here now. We're, because she has that great line. And it also maybe highlights the idea that Michael Jordan, it's like Steph Curry, like a lot of African-American, the majority, I shouldn't not even say it a lot of, the majority of African-American basketball players actually come from the middle class. Because like any endeavor, You need parents behind you taking your, making things happen,
Yeah.
taking you to the practices, ingraining all the discipline, but also confidence, all that other stuff that middle-class parents do. Put air quotes on middle class.
Yeah.
And so I think that's sort of in there on purpose. But I'll be interested to see what African-American reviewers take from what we see there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, there's a couple of scenes too where and I wish I could remember the exact spot. It was a little bit into the movie where Chris Tucker sort of lets his sort of happy guy, the visage slips a bit, and he gets serious a couple times, and sort of I liked his presence a lot in the movie because he was sort of
another
lighter,
single guy in a one-room apartment going,
Yeah,
you can't
yeah.
stay with me, man.
sort of a lighter presence as well, and kind of bit of the seriousness of it too. So it was nice to see him again. I haven't seen him in something in a while, but
Okay. Well, let's jump to the big question, the one that's in the title. Is this, and maybe it's really two questions.
sure.
Okay, first of all, is this decade's Moneyball?
I don't think so. I think it and it may take its blueprint from it. Like the two big early meeting scenes seem similar. And I actually wrote down a quote in Moneyball. One of the characters says, "Oh, the Boston Red Sox owner says, the first guy through the wall always gets bloody."
Yeah.
And in Air, there's a quote that's focused on that says, of the 10 rules that we judge operate this company by, number 9 was, it won't be pretty. Now, I mean, kind of similar in tone. So there's a little bit of that, and then they focus in specifically on that number, that bullet on the list.
Well, focus on a few
Well,
of them.
it's actually isolated as the situation
Yeah.
arises.
Yeah.
But
That corporate bullshit.
I found some sort of certain beats were similar, but ultimately I don't know if it sort of gets to the same place that Moneyball. There's a real sort of something that Moneyball achieves. I don't think this one achieves, and it may be in the form of just commitment, not to the bit, but commitment to the project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to go even further, Jim. No, it isn't. It will not be remembered in the same way as Moneyball will be. I can still pull great stuff out of Moneyball. I'm never going to pull great stuff out of Air. I will watch Air like once in a blue moon I watch Free Guy. Oh, this is easy. It's easy. It's light. And it is. It's the anti-Moneyball. It's the thing that's actually saying, no, gambling's good. Going with your gut is good. It sells this. Just a sec here. I believe I need the censor button. It sells this that Nike, which at the time that these events were happening, was a company. Just a sec here. You know what? What the hell? I can show this.
Sure.
All right, let's zoom in here. So 84, 85, and 86. 87, they actually took quite a drop in sales. But from 1984, $920 million in sales, all the way to the end of the decade, they break the multi-billion-dollar mark. They were a monster company. I guess that's really my point here. This was not some plucky underdog. This was a big, already a big operation. And yes, they were up against Adidas, which, folks, I gotta admit, it's one of the best bits when Affleck is having fun with the Falk, Michael Jordan's in real life hard-nosed agent, talking about Adidas. It's, you mean the Nazi? His name's Adolf. He always went by Addy. It's in the company name, Adolf Dressler or Dessler. It was in the Hitler Youth. Yeah. Everyone was in the Hitler Youth. Okay, you want to meet with Nazis?
Yeah.
And it was a great comic bit, which is quite something when you're making fun of somebody's Nazi past.
Yeah.
But where was I going here? To pull that off kind of, I think, says something about what they're trying to do, which was really just make a celebration, to use Michael Jordan as an excuse to make a celebration of middle management gambling.
Yeah.
But package it in a really pleasant, really kind of fun sports movie as a metaphor, and because it really does, it plays like every other sports movie, whereas Moneyball uses the sports money or the sports movie thing structure to deconstruct sports films, to deconstruct our idea of organized sport, to talk about how we romanticize this thing that isn't that romantic, whether it be the stakes of some of the players in it, whether they be the actual players or the managers, the people making some of these choices, but also the fans. And so I think Moneyball is just truly a great piece of film, maybe one of the best movies about baseball made to date. Whereas Air, I'm not saying I'll never not see it, but again, but it'll be an easy afternoon TV watch, So is it a missed opportunity? I'll give you my answer first, Jim. I mean, this thing so does this light approach to history, and hey, we really just wanted to make a sport movie except about what we are, middle-aged white guys. Mm-hmm. And when I say we, I'm talking about Affleck, Damon, Bateman. Yeah. Let's celebrate us. Won't someone think of us?
Yeah.
It is so that, and Viola Davis's performance is so wonderful, but it's so limited because that's not the story they're telling. Mm-hmm. That, Jim, I say this to you now, somebody is going to make that movie because so much is left on the table. Yeah. But I can't call it a missed opportunity. He made the light, fluffy, pro-capitalist, pro-gambler thing he wanted to make. And he left the good stuff. He didn't even F up the good stuff. Somebody's going to make that thing from an African-American mother's perspective about these young men when they go into when they become billionaires. Someone is going to make what really happened there, because this is what I thought, maybe not missing, but I'm like, wow, they really didn't even talk about how that was a turning point in a consumer's relationship with a star, and how a star related with consumers via material stuff. They didn't really in any way examine the class issues, the labor, the manufacturing issues. One critic says, this is a 2-hour commercial for Nike. They didn't examine any of that, which actually I think means that there's room for another filmmaker to make a great there's a room for another filmmaker to make a Moneyball of this decade, or maybe it's the next decade, about this world of not just endorsements, but of identifying, of using these athletes as a way to manipulate, consumer behavior, to, that idea of we consume to establish an identity. And so, I'm like, I can't call it a missed opportunity, because I think they don't F it up. There's some films where I'm like, you know what, pardon me, that up so badly, no one's going to be able to make the movie that could have been made. Here, it's like somebody can actually go, listen, I want to make Air, but like Moneyball.
Yeah.
And this is the angle we're going to take it at. Who knows? Maybe we'll see Viola Davis in the role.
Reprise.
Like, that would be awesome. So there you go. There's my answer to that question.
Even as I was thinking, just even in the last few minutes, I was thinking, well, what about and this is not going to happen, I don't think, but what about a Viola Davis, Matt Damon two-hander? I mean, you could just have that'd be more of a theater experience, I think, but I mean, think of that, like a super deep, brought to you by the publishers of Adbusters magazine.
Yeah. I don't think we even need that. We just need from the family perspective, the things they go through when we're talking about this money.
Yeah.
And how do these people handle that? How do they deal with it? I wanted to quickly note, Jim.
Sure.
Jim. We have Dragon Movie Guy in the house.
Hey, how's it going?
Good to see you, man. And yes, to answer your question, he goes, lol, it's fine, in quotes. And it's a perfectly fine film.
Yeah.
Again.
Watchable, funny bits,
And by the end, you're kind of swept up in the emotion like you should be in a good sports movie. Mm-hmm. Will the plucky underdogs make it?
Yeah, yeah.
There's
a couple
it doesn't have the weight, the deeper analysis. Because it's like, I think Affleck has zero interest in that. We can see it in Argo.
Mm-hmm.
I think we see it actually a little bit in The Last Duel.
Okay. I haven't seen that yet.
And him and Damon wrote it. Of course, Ridley Scott directed it, so it's harder to pull that out. But, I think Affleck would be better served to stick to this kind of light fare if he's going to go into the past for more ideas. I will do my takedown of... Sorry.
Uh-oh, here it comes again.
Argo at a later date.
Tipper Gore's not going to like this episode. Advisory.
Yeah.
There's a couple, and for all that we're sort of, calling it light stuff, there's a couple neat structural things, probably the result of the writer, but...
Well, here, let's get into final thoughts then, Jim.
Sure. Well, the breakdown of when...
Final thoughts!
When Matt Damon says to her, as Vaccaro, he says to Viola Davis's Mrs. Jordan, he said, okay, this is how one meeting is going to go, and that's going to happen. And this is how the next meeting is going to go. And that's a kind of a nice setup, because then you see those subsequent meetings. Also, there's a bit of humor when he he's affecting the German accent for the Adidas people, and she just goes, "No, I'm good. You don't need to do that." So that's kind of a neat thing too. And then the whole purpose of the scene with George Raveling, who's the Olympic basketball coach that Matt Damon meets at the Tony Romas, preceded by the song "Legs" by ZZ Top. Basically, all that, it's a one scene thing, and it's put in there to say that Martin Luther King ad-libbed half the "I Have a Dream" speech because I got a copy. So then when they're making their final push, Matt Damon decides to go, okay, I'm going to ad-lib this.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a page from MLK's book and do my own thing.
Yeah.
And then he makes a big play for the family, and that's sort of a couple little structural things that are built into the movie that I thought was quite fun.
Yeah, just sorry to interrupt you. Looks like we're getting really poor stream health now, and it's been buffering forever. So, folks, if you're coming in now, really sorry about that. But you know what? Sometimes the internet does what it does. Speaking of the internet, though, I think it is time briefly to. Whoops! Sorry, I didn't want to do that. What I wanted to do was beg for the likes, beg for the love. Gots to beg for the love. Please like and subscribe and ring that bell.
Ring the bell.
It does help the channel. And we're at 393 subscribers. This is the last one. Getting a little misty there. Jim, was there anything else you wanted to add before we wrap it up here?
Sure, a couple things. I really liked the whole. There's a. I think it just happens twice. There's no comedy rule of three in there, where Matt Damon goes into his local 7-Eleven and he chats with the young African American clerk about basketball,
yes,
who knows more about basketball than his fellow executives.
Yeah.
And I was hoping, and I know it's based on a true story, I was hoping that he would get the kid a job because he's working after all in the 7-Eleven. And I was like, it was kind of a fireworks factory thing set up there, but I quite enjoyed that little interplay there. And the other thing
and
too,
then they did wrap it up at the end, like they did visit the fireworks factory, but and this is what Affleck's got a kind of a nasty streak, I think, in the end of some of his films. He did it in Argo, and he did it in this one, where he takes a bit of a shot first on the kid, because he does go back to the 7-Eleven, and he says about Jordan, asks about Jordan. What did you think about Jordan? And, we missed that guy, because I think the local, who is it the Huskies? Who's the NBA team in Seattle? Perhaps somebody in the chat who grew up there might say something now.
It was the Supersonics at one point.
Oh, yeah, the Seattle Sonics. Yeah. You're right, yeah. Anyway, there was that moment, and then the guys, we all knew Jordan was going to be great, which is a callback to earlier in the picture when the kid was saying Jordan's too small.
And he's just a guard, yeah.
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 And so I think they did that well, but it's also kind of he walks out, sure, everybody knew. And it's like, you didn't know. You were going with your gut. You didn't know. You didn't know shit. You just gambled. It paid off this time. Busted clock is right twice a day.
I showed that kid.
Yeah, exactly. And it was kind of it was a kid at a 7-Eleven, you prick.
Yeah.
And the other thing with Falk, the agent, who earlier in the film says, I don't have any friends. I have clients. That's it. I have enemies and I have clients. And when I sell my business, I'll have a pile of money and I won't care. I'll eat alone, but I won't care. And then there's this moment where you see him eating alone. And apparently that's again, it's Ben Affleck. Fact. Historical fact. But it's this sort of cheap shot where it's like, we didn't need that wrapped up, and what? Who cares? Like,
Yeah, that's a good point.
and it's kind of a mean-spiritedness because Falk wasn't. I never thought he was like the bad guy. He was an antagonist. He was an obstacle, but not a bastard.
He didn't operate in bad faith.
Yeah. Yeah, like Ben Affleck or Matt Damon's character, Vaccaro did. Sort of broke some of the unspoken, spoken but unwritten rules.
Yeah.
How you deal with these people. And so I think that is one of those things where it's like, wow, you can't resist the cheap shot at the end of your movies.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus, man,
Yeah, that's a good point. But
what did we do to you? We're your viewers. What did he do to you? What did Canada do to you? Did you just hate coming up here to make movies that much?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's kind of my take on that.
Couple points I wanted to make.
After
having watched both movies, is that death and violence is used so often to propel movies forward. Parts of the plot, you think of something that you think, I know, To Kill a Mockingbird. It has rape and murder and all kinds of like it's pretty bloody. But neither of these movies, it's interesting, and I was thinking about this a little while ago, movies without death or violence to power the plot. And both of these would fit in that category, and they're still entertaining. And
they do allude to the tragic death of Michael Jordan's father, but you're right. It doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't drive the plot. It's
So that's kind of an interesting thing.
It is part of the classic great speech of every sport movie.
Yes. Yeah. And then the other thing too is that I just wanted to say a word there about Philip Seymour Hoffman in Moneyball. Is just seeing him on screen as that guy. Ben Affleck's playing Phil Knight. Get it? He's obviously wearing a wig, and he's obviously Ben Affleck. He looks like Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Philip Seymour Hoffman still looks like Philip Seymour Hoffman, but there's no doubt in my mind that he's Art Howe at that moment. He's got the shaved head. He's got the sort of the big belly. It looks vaguely ridiculous in the baseball, but he's so. There's something about
that's
that
a
guy.
great note, Jim. Yeah, Affleck in this is almost like he's doing a bit.
Yeah, and he's kind of bumbly, and he's, there's nothing that makes you think that this is the guy who sort of established Nike. He's defensive and all that kind of thing. But, the first time you see Philip Seymour Hoffman in Moneyball, it's actually kind of like, woo, that guy's intense, know. And just a word out there for PSH there.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, everybody, thank you all very, very much for coming by. That goes to Dragon Movie Guy, Katie Fowler, Richard L., and of course, our man in Kuwait City, Jelly Duck 100. We'll see you guys next week, maybe earlier with DMG.
Yeah.
Okay, goodbye to everybody.
We'll see you.